So this most recent Nintendo Switch leak shows that Nintendo has a fairly big problem. I would say it's becoming a big issue that they need to address sometime soon, because there's a lot of things that are starting to come out that probably shouldn't be coming out, and if Nintendo doesn't do something about it, then other people are going to ruin the surprise of what the Nintendo Switch 2 is actually going to be for fans. Now, we do have a good idea of what Nintendo's going to do based off of leaks that have already came out and based off of Nintendo's own words in terms of the continuation of the Nintendo Switch brand or lining, but at the same time, you don't want people that aren't part of the organization in a traditional fashion when it comes to your own people talking about it in this type of way. So in this video, we're going to break down the big leak that's happening, what people are saying about it, and some other things when it comes to factual stuff from developers that get me excited about the Nintendo Switch 2, in addition to probably getting you excited about what games you're going to see on the platform. But before we get into all of that, what's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos as soon as they drop, as things are going to pick up heavily heading into the reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, let's get into these leaked, rumored Switch 2 motherboard photos and the craziness that's starting to crop up online, with fake tech experts saying all sorts of stuff and people going back and forth, which these shots do line up potentially with some stuff that we got a while back. So shout outs to Nintendo Everything for the beat here, but this was originally leaked on Reddit. So 2024 was a big year for the Nintendo Switch 2 leaks and rumors, and 2025 is already looking to continue off that with the latest leak that has supposedly revealed the motherboard pictures. Hopefully Nintendo can stop the father board and the sister board and the brother board. Okay, I'm joking, bad joke. Let's move on. So Reddit user MHN1994 posted the shots without any context, without any sort of information. That means it's up to the internet to once again debate whether the latest leak is real or fake. That being said, here's a look at what was shared. So you guys are seeing this first picture here, and you see the NVIDIA and the chip, and people are starting to measure the die size and saying it's going to be as powerful as this or not as powerful as that, or now it's going to be ports that are terrible. It's 2018 technology, all sorts of weird stuff that you can't tell from this just right here. You'd have to have the full system complete, actually testing out games, but whatever on that one overall. So you have another picture here which shows another shot of the motherboard, which once again does line up with some of the leaks that we've already gotten before. And then we have this last shot here, which as a casual consumer myself, when it comes to technology overall, yeah, I have no idea what all of this is going to mean. But what I do know is that you cannot make any definitive conclusions about everything in terms of games and how stuff is going to play based off of this. You got to have the full unit. You got to know exactly what's going on with everything and how it all works in conjunction. That's what I do know. But anyway, let's get back into it here. So just like with all rumors, nothing is guaranteed here. However, there's talk of the Nintendo Switch 2 pictures being real as the motherboard lines up with the CPU found in previous shipment leaks. Now, another interesting thing about this leak is that it won't mean much for the average consumer. Things like the system itself, Joy-Con, and dock would be much more notable for fans. Offering a look at the motherboard as opposed to other things related to the hardware could also point to the photos being real. Now, obviously, we got the dock supposed leaks and the Nintendo Switch 2 itself just recently, which those are lining up to potentially be real as well. So this is why I said that Nintendo needs to actually get a hold of this, because now you're starting to see things leak out beforehand that shouldn't be before they actually reveal it. Once again, a dock, you have a Switch, you have a motherboard, you have potential a bunch of other things that are leaking. Now, one thing that people are saying from this with these shipment leaks that kind of line up with the pictures is that 12 gigabytes of RAM. Some people are saying that the die process is 8nn or 8nm, so that means it's too big for it to be able to run certain games more efficiently, which once again, we have to wait and see. There are people talking about it on Twitter all over the place. I'm not so sure. Once again, I think that one of the biggest things here is that until we actually see the full unit and the games running on there, we're not going to exactly know how everything is shaping out to be when it's all said and done. That's all I'm trying to say. But the biggest thing, and this goes back to what I said before, and I want to make sure that I'm very clear with this, the most important thing is the games. It's going to be the games itself, how the games look, how the games play, how the games are once we actually see the full retail product. Once Nintendo actually shows us something, that is the most important thing. titles are the most important thing. The exclusive games that Nintendo puts out, those are going to be incredibly important. These are the things that are all going to help the system overall. There are going to be developers that are going to be able to take this system and do awesome and incredible things with the system overall. There's going to be some cool new gimmicks that Nintendo probably puts into this system, as we've seen rumors about them putting some new technology into the actual Joy-Cons outside of Hall effect. So obviously great if there's no more drifting as well. The games, in terms of the innovation that Nintendo can bring to the table that we saw with other titles out there that they've done since the Wii U, even with Splatoon when they had a failure overall, that's going to be the most important thing. That's going to be the exciting thing, and that's what I'm looking forward to the most. But I want Nintendo to go on their own terms of revealing this instead of getting it piece by piece and kind of put together by leakers out there. So I'm guessing Nintendo will definitely fast track some plans. There was rumors that Nintendo's going to fast track plans to reveal the system because of the leaks, but I don't know if that's true. I think they actually just have a date that they want. But I will say this, maybe they picked out, hey, look, we know that we've been here before when it comes to leaks and rumors and all that, so maybe we can have a couple things set up just in case. I think like a fail-safe type of thing, because this is not Nintendo's first rodeo overall with leaks and rumors and things that have happened. Heck, with the Nintendo Switch, there were full-blown concept and ideas and leaks well before the system came out too. And Nintendo just kind of stayed put and revealed it when they felt like revealing it. So this could be the same thing, but I do feel that we are closer to the reveal of the system than obviously not. We're in 2025 finally. Happy New Year. And I think that Nintendo will reveal this system sometime in January, and then we'll probably get a launch maybe sometime in March or April, May. I'm thinking that's when the target month for this system will be. But yeah, I'm looking forward to, once again, the games. That's the most important thing, and don't let anybody online or anybody else tell you otherwise, because we had a lot of people try to be the online developers when it comes to Nintendo Switch 1 and say this and that wouldn't work, or there won't be any other types of games. And of course, that ended up being false when it comes to Nintendo Switch 1. So I do think that the Nintendo Switch 2, whatever it ends up being, is going to be a solid device, and we're going to enjoy it as long as Nintendo brings the quality games. Now, let's talk about what developers are actually saying, because once again, that's the most important thing, is that are these developers going to bring out titles that's going to get us excited? And one of my favorite developers in the industry is Square Enix from a third-party standpoint, and what they've got to say is that now we've got some other people that were actually excited for it too, but now another Square Enix producer says that he's very excited for the Nintendo Switch successor as a user and a creator. Now, this was in an interview with a bunch of developers that have their ambitions for 2025, and one of those was Square Enix producer Akitoshi Kawazu, and he went on to talk about what he's excited about when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2. Quote, the successor to the Nintendo Switch that Nintendo will announce in 2025 and the corresponding market strategy that Nintendo will develop. I'm looking forward to it as both a user and a creator. So that's definitely good to hear. We've seen multiple Square Enix employees now say that they are excited for 2025 because of the Nintendo Switch successor, and that makes sense. Because if you look at what he said and kind of break it down a bit, there's some layers to what he had to say. The strategy that Nintendo will develop, the corresponding market strategy that Nintendo will develop. Okay, what's market strategy and why is he saying that? Well, look at the Japanese landscape when it comes to the business. It's pretty much all Nintendo Switch at this point. Most of the titles throughout the Nintendo Switch era when it comes to top 30 games are usually Nintendo Switch titles. The best-selling system has been the Nintendo Switch by far. Even when PlayStation comes up with the PS5 sometimes to kind of come up and get in the top sales, it doesn't last very long. And if it does, the games just aren't there in corresponding nature. Still, the Nintendo Switch kind of reigns supreme. So what is the market strategy to capitalize off the domination of the Nintendo Switch? How are you going to market the system to get it into as many hands of consumers as possible? And what are the games going to be to accompany, and how is that going to fit in with what Square Enix is doing? Now, I also think that he's being a little bit coy here because he knows that he has direct games that influence the strategy that Nintendo's going to be doing. Square Enix is a major player. They've been a major player for decades now at this point. So I do think his little coyness saying, oh, I'm looking forward to it as a user and a creator. That's obviously him saying, yes, I want to see the type of games, that type of impact on the market as a user, that impacts me as a gamer, but also as a creator. How does that work with what I'm doing? So he knows that he's got some heat that's going to be coming for the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, we talked about this before when it comes to Square Enix completely changing their business plans. We went over what they've done numerous times. I had another video on it recently with Square Enix and how they're going to be aggressively pursuing multi-platform. We know this. We've talked about this many times, but if you don't know, here is the TLDR version of it. Square Enix was going with exclusivity when it came to their big Final Fantasy games and other titles. They realized that that is not sustainable going forward in the future. They have a business plan from 2 to 3 years plus or so to revamp things completely, and they're enacting those plans right now. At this point, they recently talked about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and saying, hey, look, we're satisfied with the sales, but we have to make sure that we have a multi-platform development in the future because we got to get these games into the most hands as possible. I think that coincides with the strategy and market that this other Square Enix producer is talking about as well. So I do think that that is going to mean Square Enix's biggest titles will be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, as it's really going to probably be the market leader very quickly in the next systems race. And it will probably keep that lead throughout the life of the Nintendo Switch 2. I don't see any other system rising up to take that away. So I do feel that Square Enix is going to be a major player on the Nintendo Switch 2. Some people have talked about Final Fantasy IX Remake being a launch title. I don't know about all of that, if that's going to be a thing. There's some rumors out there that that's going to be happening. I do think that Final Fantasy IX Remake is a thing. I do think that they absolutely want to push it with the Nintendo Switch 2, but I also think that this means that they want to push Dragon Quest with the Nintendo Switch 2. This is also some veiled kind of, I would say, foreshadowing in terms of the market strategy and what they want to do. Square Enix wants maximum exposure. They want the game in as many hands as possible, and in order to do that, you're going to have to ally, or you're going to have your games on a system that's going to project and sell well overall worldwide, not just in one region. Nintendo right now has the system that's going to sell the best worldwide in all regions evenly, because PlayStation does not do well enough in Japan. Xbox is non-existent, but PlayStation does have a huge base in Europe and in the US, so you're going to leverage that. But the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be popular pretty much in every single region for the most part. It's going to be fairly popular in Europe. There's plenty of places that love Nintendo there, like France, for example, Spain. Those are areas that it's going to do well. But then the US, it's going to do well. And of course, in Japan, it's going to do well. So you have that balanced approach to your games. You're going to be able to sell a lot more copies, because I do feel that while Square Enix was one of the biggest and best developers on the Nintendo Switch 1, they did some great things. They really missed out on potential multiple millions of dollars not having a major big mainline Final Fantasy game ready to go, or not creating something for the Nintendo Switch like they created for the PSP back in the day with Dissidia and other types of Final Fantasy games. So I do feel that that is going to happen potentially with the Nintendo Switch 2. We could see Square Enix when it comes to big ports coming over, and we can also see games built specifically for the Nintendo Switch 2 that end up being ported to other platforms, which they did do that with the Nintendo Switch. We saw stuff like Bravely Default 2 that hasn't been ported to other platforms overall, but it's on the PC. Triangle Strategy built for the Nintendo Switch by itself, then ported over to PC as well. Games like Octopath Traveler built for the Nintendo Switch, then ported to PC and console. And we even got a port of Triangle Strategy over to the Meta Quest VR. Check out my video on that if you haven't seen it yet. So I do feel that we could see that, but on a larger scale, not just HD, 2D, or AA type of game. So I'm absolutely looking forward to Square Enix and the excitement that they're bringing. And it's not just Square Enix. There are other Japanese developers that are very much looking forward to what Nintendo's doing, because it ties hand in hand into their business strategy and process going forward in the future, because of the results that we got with the Nintendo Switch 1. Plus, they're going to get a much more capable system at this point. So very excited overall. But what are your thoughts when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 and what Nintendo's going to be doing going forward with Square Enix and other developers? And of course, these leaked shots. I think Nintendo needs to really kind of lock in at this point and get something ready to go, because this is just getting a little bit out of hand. But I think that we all know that it's going to come down to what Nintendo does with the software, like always. So expect to see more third-party Japanese support that sometimes skip the Nintendo Switch or were late ports. Expect those to come over a bit sooner. I would expect there to be a bigger support for the system at launch, like I talked about in a previous video, because the Nintendo Switch was so successful overall. So I don't think it's just going to be Square Enix. There's going to be Atlas, there's going to be Koei Tecmo, there's going to be many many other companies that are very interested, and you will see a lot of these games. So what do you guys think about all of this? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch RPG videos and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.